So parents always want to know what they can do during the summer to support executive function. So I have some really interesting ideas, and maybe this is a different approach than you might have thought about. But I'm going to give you some good ideas. If you're taking notes, if you're somebody who follows me and likes to take notes, get ready for this one because I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. But for you parents, also teachers, therapists, anybody who's interested in supporting kids with executive function challenges, what can you do during the summer to support executive function? Summer goes by in the United States, and I know I have people from over 130 different countries around the world who follow me, and it's different in different places. But in the United States of America, we have about 2 months open in the summer. During that time, a lot of skills that kids have learned but haven't really integrated deeply enough that those skills get lost. Okay, so that is a very common thing that happens in the United States when things haven't been put into long-term memory, when the learning has been too surfacey in certain areas. But during that time, either way, parents want to support their kids' executive function. They want to make sure that most parents, at least that I talk to, I think this is pretty normal, but they want to help their kids develop strengths during the summer. They don't want summer to just go by and it's just been a bunch of fun and games, which it actually should be in a lot of ways. There should be a lot of freedom and spaciousness in the summer, but it also is a time that you can simply build skills in doing what your child is doing anyhow. So how do we use this time? How do we find what's called teachable moments? Now, in the teaching world, so for you parents out there, in the teaching world, there's a term called teachable moments. This is a fantastic idea because it implies that there's teachable moments everywhere. And these incredible teachers out there, one of the things that great teachers do is they find teachable moments all over the place. On the playground, in the lunchroom, all the time, they're finding teachable moments and they're figuring out how to turn a moment into something that kids can benefit from more, how to get the most out of a moment and make it a teachable moment. Well, parents, you can use this idea during the summertime to help your kiddo get more out of the summer so that while they're going through whatever they're going through in the summer anyway, you can use that time intentionally to help them get more out of it so that they can ultimately have better executive function. Why though? So that they can have better quality of life, serve better in their lives, serve their communities, their families, that in their lives, and they have a great future themselves. So summer teachable moments. So I'm going to go through a bunch of ideas here real quick. And again, I'm going to go quickly. So if you want to pause it and take notes, that's fine. But summer executive function teachable moments. So there's so many opportunities that you can build executive function. Your kids are using executive function all summer long. Your kids are using executive function to play video games. They're using it in their social life, in their play life, on the playground. If they're teenagers, if they're college students, they're using executive function all the time. Your kids, if your kids playing video games, they are planning. They are planning. They're using planning skills to do that. They're also using skills to focus, to concentrate, to pay attention. They're also using skills if you're like, hey, turn off the video games, come up to dinner, and they're ignoring you. They are focusing and they are ignoring distractions. That's executive function. The point is that executive function is used all over the place. You can help your kids. You can find teachable moments for how to teach executive function more intentionally, how to use words around executive function, so on and so forth. Another way to do that is to look at structures. I think there's a balance between structure and freedom, and all kids are different. But great teachers, and thank you all you teachers out there, great teachers do a great job of taking all these different students with vastly different personalities and needs and differentiating for them, meeting different needs of different kids. And one of the things that great teachers do is they strike a great balance between structure and freedom. So they are able to give kids who need a lot of freedom, they're able to give them a lot of freedom, but give them enough structure so that they can be successful. And kids that need more structure and less freedom, the structure gives freedom, but they're able to give kids more structure to scaffold so that they can have more freedom. There is a balance, though, in all these kids, and great teachers do a great job of seeing, oh, this kid needs a lot more structure with this. This kid needs a lot less structure with this because they have X, Y, and Z skills that will allow them to use that freedom to build their own structures, yada, yada, yada. You get the point there. So look at what you can do this summer in terms of creating structures, sort of the minimum structure to give the maximum freedom for the individual. I guess that's how I'd sort of wrap that up. Number two, calendars and time. I mean, even though it's summer, time management, using calendars, having calendars on the wall, talking about time, talking about calendars, um, not giving your kids all the answer, but saying, yeah, go look at the calendar. Yeah, we're going to be doing something in a little bit. Go check out the calendar so that they're building those skills over the summer more and more and more. There is a lot of executive function in play during executive function can be woven into fun and play, and there are teachable moments in fun and play over the summer. Fun and play is so important. How can you engage with your child, have fun, play, connect? It's the most important thing in the world is your relationship with your kids. So how can you use the summer to find teachable moments in fun and play? Whatever you and your child are doing for fun and for play, how can you find the learning in that? Because there's so much learning in that. How can you make that a time when they're learning something, when it's a teachable moment? Now, challenges that kids have. There are challenges that are good challenges that everybody wants to be challenged. We all want challenges. We thrive on challenges, but there are also challenges that are difficulties. So there's sort of the two types. But those are also teachable moments. So anytime there's a challenge in the summer, whether it's a good challenge and they're really engaged in it and they want to solve the challenge, or whether it's a difficulty, those can be used as teachable moments. Now, another thing we can do is use open-ended questions. Rather than doing too much, being able to bite our tongue, knowing when to bite our tongue, knowing when to not rescue or not do too much or not say too much, when to use open-ended questions to say, what do you think? How do you think we should do that? How would you solve that problem? How are you going to solve that problem? How can I help you solve that problem? Open-ended questions and biting our tongue to wait for the answer. And then before we respond, after they have answered, saying, tell me more. Out of everything I've said today so far, that's probably the most important, is to be able to have open-ended questions, bite our tongue, and when we think it's our turn to say something back to our kids and respond in the conversation, to not and ask for a little bit more and say, tell me more. I don't get it. I want to understand. Tell me more. What do you mean? So this is one of the best ways to do teachable moments. Related to that is curiosity. Being really curious about what your kids are saying. Wow, I wonder why that's happening. I wonder why you're feeling that way. And genuinely being curious. What are they going through? Who are they? What are they experiencing? And how can you be curious and ask them what you're curious about rather than telling or saying too much? And use those as teachable moments and being curious, like, how can we learn more about that? The next one is temperature checks. These are great for teachable moments because this is where we are asking our kids, how's it going? Now, doing temperature checks, finding out how your kid's doing, asking open-ended questions. There are many ways. I talk about temperature checks with a 1 through 10 strategy, a hot to cold strategy, a high-low. There's all these different ones that I teach. But when we're doing temperature checks and we're going at our kids in a way of curiosity and openness, and we're trying to see how they're doing with a thing, when we're doing that, we're helping them build their own self-reflection, introspection, metacognition, reflection, self-awareness, these sorts of things. A great thing for teachable moments, and this is similar to the calendars and the time, it's very related to that because it's saying, what's your plan? Such an easy thing parents can say during the summer. What's your plan? Oh no, I'm just going to blah, blah. Tell me more. What's your plan? How's that going to work? What are you going to need? What time? What time will it start? What time will it end? How much time will you need to prep? Like asking them rather than telling them. What's your plan? And helping them talk through it. That is an exceptional way to have teachable moments over the summer and to build executive function over the summer. What can you learn from this? Now, you could be at the water park and you could be standing on the top of a water slide and say, what can you learn from this? And just look around at what's going on. There's so much science and math and nature and everything going on in that kind of a moment right then and there. There's so many things you can learn. Just ask the question. I love this one. How do you know? So when your kid says something, okay, this is how something is, or this is what I think about something, how do you know? How do you know that? And they can tell you, and you may know with your adult wisdom that they're not seeing the whole picture. And this is a great follow up to that. Well, how can you be sure? How can you be sure? Tell me more. And again, you're coming at this with curiosity. And then, what would someone say who thought the opposite? So, again, in our adult wisdom, we often know that things don't make complete sense or that our kid's not seeing the full picture of something. This is an amazing question. What would someone say who thought the opposite? This is a great way for you to not get into an argument or a disagreement with your child, trying to get them to see the light and understand what your wisdom you're trying to tell them this is the way a thing is, rather than doing that, which often causes divisiveness rather than connection. You can ask them, well, what would someone say who thought the opposite? Or what would someone do or think who thought the opposite or saw things differently? That allows your kiddo to get buy-in and ownership and be heard in the conversation. What does that remind you of? Now, I love this for teachable moments here. What does that remind you of? This is an open-ended question. And what this does is it gets, you can ask this for anything. You can say, what is this situation reminded you of? What is this food reminded you of? What is that color reminded you of? What does that tree remind you of? It doesn't matter. What it does is it gets the brain to make connections, outside the box connections, and to ask them to tell you more. One of my favorite questions, tell me more about how that reminds them of a thing, gets the brain to really make unique, interesting, deeper connections with things. Great for teachable moments, great for connecting the dots. Summarizing is such an incredible skill. It's such a powerful thing. It's something that's really hard to do cognitively. It's a very deep set of skills. But for teachable moments, having your kids summarize, it doesn't matter if they're in college or kindergarten, whatever age they are, asking them to summarize something. You don't have to use the word summarize, but summarize. How was the conversation? What's the summary of the conversation? Rather than how was camp today, or how was hanging out with your friends today, or how was summer school today, or how was work today, or whatever the thing is. But to ask for a summary. What happened? What happened? Give me the summary. A movie. What happened in the movie? What happened in the story? What happened in the book? What happened with your friend? Summarize. To give me the point, summarize it. And you can model that. Everything here you can model. I haven't mentioned that. What do you need? Asking them, what do you need? What do you need to learn? What do you need to be successful at this thing we're doing today? What do you need? Asking them. Why does it matter to you? Why does this thing matter? Now, this is where I'm going to wrap up. The reason I put this one second to last is because the last one's the most important. But asking your kiddo, again, doesn't matter if they're in kindergarten or college, but to ask them why it matters. When I said curiosity before, to be genuinely curious about why something matters to your kid is so important because of the last one I put on the list. Because when we ask someone why something matters and we really listen with curiosity and we really try to understand, we help them feel seen and heard and known and understood and secure. It's all about the relationship with this human being we care about. Why does it matter to you? It could be a cartoon. It could be a job search. It doesn't matter. What it is, asking the question, why does this matter to you? Why is this so important to you? And really listening and really trying to hear and not trying to change, but accepting. Helping them explore why it matters to them. I think ultimately what we want, and this is why I say this here, the ICU. This is the most important. With teachable moments during the summer, helping our kids feel seen and heard and understood and known. I see you. I see you. I really see who you are. I get you. I got your back. Asking why it matters really helps them become a young person who has an awareness of what's important to them and why, who can question themselves and why things matter to them, who can make better decisions about things in their life. because they have a dialogue in their own mind because you've encouraged it around why things matter, why they're important, and being able to make good decisions around these things. My name is Seth Perler. I wear a lot of hats in the executive function, ADHD, neurodiversity, 2E worlds. You can find me at sethperler.com or executivefunctionsummit.com, executivefunctionsummit.com. Got the summit coming up soon. If you like what I'm doing, share it around, comment, like it, do all the things, whatever. I don't really care. What I do care about. So I want to wish you peace of mind. I want to wish you joy in your heart. And I want to wish you connection with the people you care about, particularly those kids in your life. Take care.